Hello friends, today we are going to see how a JavaScript experiment can be used for calling a function after a particular time gap. So this is considered as the SOP1 of 12th standard science practical. Okay, here we know that JavaScript is one of the scripting language used for converting a static web page into dynamic one. Now the components which we are going to use here is we are going to call 7 user defined function, and that will be called after a particular time gap, okay, using set timeout method of an window object. Here we are going to use events such as on mouse over and on click over mouse. Okay, now all of you know what is an event. An event is an action done by the user on a web page using mouse or a keyboard, and it is a trigger whenever a particular action is done by the user. And here we are running a particular function or a script which makes your web page more dynamic one. Now you can see here that suppose there is a button on a web page which is used for interacting with the JavaScript. Okay, so when you are clicking on a button, an event occurs that is on click, and which in turn execute a piece of code. Here a piece of code can be executed by running a user defined function. Okay, all of you know what is user defined function, where the parameters as well as the output and the data user himself or herself deals with. Okay, so whatever the piece of code is running, and after that your output will be seen along with the HTML output. Now what is set timeout? A set timeout is one of the method of window object which is used for calling a function after a particular time interval, and it is measured in terms of millisecond. Now you can see that there is a code. Okay, here I am going to call a function, okay, migrating, and here the migrating function will be displaying a message be safe and be alert, and this migrating will be displayed after a time gap of 5000 milliseconds. Here on click event is used for a sample function. Okay, and inside that function, using the set timeout method of window object, I am calling a next function. Next function is displaying alert message how are you, and after that it is calling next one function after a time gap of 4000 milliseconds, and there I am displaying I am fine. Okay, now we can see how the output will be. I am running using Visual Studio Code Editor. Okay, now see, you can see the output. Now I am keeping my mouse pointer over it. I am clicking it over a button. Timeout function is displayed over a button, and it is displaying an alert message how are you. After displaying the message, it is calling one more function, next one, and there it is displaying I am fine. So in this way, this is a sample how set timeout function is used for calling a next function. Next function is again calling a next one function after a time gap of 4000 milliseconds. So student, I hope you are comfortable with set timeout method of window object. So this is a cycle which is going to repeat. Okay, next is calling next one is calling again next one. So same function, same concept I used for the SOP1. Okay, here in this experiment I used Visual Studio Code Editor. Again you can see that there are two button object and two events on mouse over, which is calling a function F1. The F1 function is used for changing the background color of the web page to yellow, and which in turn call the F2 function using a set timeout method of window object after a 1200 millisecond. In F2 function again the background color is changing to pink, and it is after a time gap of 1200 milliseconds calls F3 function. In this way there are 7 functions named as F1 till F7. They are calling each, and in each function the background color is changed, and there is a time gap of 1200 milliseconds, and these functions are calling each other. Okay, and in each function you can see that the color changes. Now see the output, how it shows. I am keeping the mouse pointer over the button and here the color changes. There are 7 distinct colors. Okay, this is the first part of the experiment. Okay, and here the status change using a window dot status. Here status is the property of a window object, which right now the browser is not supporting. In this way, the first part of the web page is running. First part of the experiment, rather I should say, is running. I hope you understood, students, and you will run and show me how it looks. Okay, so one thing you have to remember, that you are calling 7 distinct function which is used for displaying 7 colors as a background color of a body. Okay, and this is possible using set timeout method of window object. The next part of the experiment, we are showing that when the web page is loaded, automatically the background color get changes. So here we are using onload event on a web page. Whenever the web page loads, automatically the color changes. Same code is repeated, only the way the function is called is different. Here we are using onload event of a web page and it is running using the body tag. So whenever the web page loads, automatically F1 function calls, and same coding we are using for this part also. So here onload for calling a function and unload whenever we are closing the web page. So this both the functions we are using onload and unload. Here unload will not be able to see because the status property of window object right now the browser is not supporting. So if you want to see how it runs, I will show you. I am using Google Chrome browser. Okay, so the web page loads, and the moment the web page loads, automatically the background color changes. You can see that. I hope you understood both the experiments, and you will run it and you will show me how it shows.